Okay, we are going to call this our January regular meeting of the Martin County School Board to order at our irregular time due to scheduling conflicts. So I would first like to welcome Pastor James Harp from Stewart Alliance Church for our opening prayer.
Pray to him. Gracious, almighty God, Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, that you've told us that we can approach your throne of grace and mercy in a time of need. And you've said to us not to be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let our requests be made to you. And so, Lord, we come before you today with hearts that are humble and hearts that are grateful. You are the creator and sustainer of all life. You, O God, are the giver of wisdom, and you're the one who orders our steps. The psalmist, Solomon said in Proverbs, he said, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." We thank you, Father, for the privilege of gathering here today to serve the children and families of Martin County. We lift before you the members of this school board, our administrators, and everyone who carries responsibility and authority. I ask you, Lord, to grant them wisdom from above. In James chapter 3, it says, "Pure, peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits," is the kind of wisdom that you give. May their decisions be marked by integrity, by humility, and by a sincere desire for the good of every student entrusted to their care. Lord, we ask your protection, especially these days, over all students, teachers, faculty, staff, and every employee and volunteer throughout the school system. Preserve life and health. I ask, Father, that you would surround every campus with your peace and your guarding presence. Your word promises us in Psalm 121 that the Lord will watch over your coming and going forth now and forevermore. Lord, I pray today for unity and mutual respect of all involved in this most important aspect of these children's lives. I pray for mutual respect and unity across differences of background, differences in belief, differences in experience. I ask you to help all who serve in education to work together with dedication and compassion, seeking the welfare and future of every child. May our schools be places where truth is pursued, where character is formed, and hope is nurtured. Finally, we entrust this evening, the first meeting of this calendar year, and all that follows into your gracious hands. We ask that you would guide us according to your will and for your glory. We ask these things with confidence and gratitude in the strong name of Jesus Christ, who said, "Let the little children come to me." And to all involved, as I've prayed in every aspect of this community for the health, welfare, and benefit and education of our children, I speak this blessing that Aaron spoke upon his people. May the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, give you shalom. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Harp. Now please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now if you would remain standing, I would like to introduce the Murray Middle School Honor Choir under the direction of Dr. Anita Caswell.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous
Dr. Caswell, before they start their next song, would you like to introduce your group and say anything before you get started with your next song?
We are the Murray Middle School Honors Choir, known by Cantabile Spirito. These young people are auditioned for this choir, and we're just happy to be here. Thank you for having us. You may sit now. We will be singing for you, What a Wonderful World.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed days, the dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. And I hear babies grow, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you all very much. This is the best part of being a school board member, is watching our students and our teachers showcase their passion and tremendous talent. So thank you all for coming. Give them a minute to clear out, and we'll get started. Okay, Ms. Falls, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Russell?
Here.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mrs. Pritchett?
Here.
Dr. Moriarty?
Here.
Mrs. Powers?
Here. Thank you. So now I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the following items added: 7.04 and 18.04. Items updated: 3.01, 3.02, 3.04, 4.02, 4.05, 9.01, 9.02, 15.03, 18.03, 19.03.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, and I apologize, 14.01 removed.
Second.
So I have a motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Dr. Moriarty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, I have the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Dr. Moriarty. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have no board member discussion.
Oh, I had one.
Okay, Ms. Roberts?
Put it in there. So I've been hearing a lot of reports about the e-bikes, and I know that we've established something where they have to be walked on our campuses. They can't be engaged and ridden on our campuses. But I know that they're only walking them during the time when there's actually school there. So I don't know if the board is interested. I'm asking for a discussion to see whether anybody's interested in making that a little bit firmer, maybe not having them at all on our campuses, doing something along those lines. I think that would end up being a policy that we would have to bring forward, discuss, et cetera. But I didn't know if there was any other interest, so.
I personally would like to have that conversation. I think that we should probably reach out to the sheriff's department and talk to them. I think it would be good information to share with the public as well. I have seen the sheriff's department really cracking down. Even if there's not anything wrong, they're really talking to kids about safety and using their bikes properly. But I would love to have that conversation, and I think that I would welcome some recommendations from anything that's in our purview as a partner with the sheriff's department that we can do. I think to make kids safer is a good thing. So would you all be okay? We add that to a workshop?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so we'll add that to a future workshop, and we will invite the sheriff or his designees to come and talk to us a little bit about that.
And so could we ask, I know that Mr. Harmon works with Neola, if he could give us some input as to whether there is a possible policy, if it, he always gives us policies with options, selections, et cetera. But, I mean, I'm just thinking that if we have code of conduct coming up and we're starting the next year, there's a process in order to get it. If we do decide to do anything, there's a process in order, if it's a policy change, there's the initial, and then there's the advertising read, and then the final read in order to get it approved, and then there's the code of conduct piece. So if we can get Terry Harmon to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, because we want to make sure that we're doing everything within
Yeah.
what we can do legally, of course.
Thank you. So that'll come back when?
When, let's see, January, so probably, I think March would be the latest that we would want to bring it, because then we're looking at June implementation. We want to be able to get the message out to parents and students about the change over the summer. So let's shoot for March, no later than March.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, next up, we have item 13.01, Martin County Regional Science and Engineering Fair winners. Dr. McMahon.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Superintendent Main. My name is Paige McMahon, and I serve as the coordinator of curriculum and instruction for our district. This evening, I am honored to congratulate the winners of the 2026 Martin County Regional Science and Engineering Fair, held earlier this month on January 10th. These students' curiosity, innovation, and commitment to scientific inquiry truly sets them apart. We are proud to share that these students have advanced to compete at the state competition, the Florida State Science and Engineering Fair, which will take place March 31st to April 2nd in Lakeland. We wish them the very best as they continue to showcase their talents and passion for STEM on a statewide stage. Students, if you're in attendance tonight, if you can come up and receive your certificate and stand up at the front for a photo with the board. First up, our middle school winners in the junior division. From Hidden Oaks Middle School, Stella Diskowski. Also from Hidden Oaks Middle School, Evelyn Gettings. From Hidden Oaks Middle School, Sig Sanchez. From Hidden Oaks Middle School, Zoe Kapler. And also from Hidden Oaks Middle School, Liliana Repetto. In the senior division are high school winners, which will be moving on to the state competition as well. From South Fork High School, Varun Singh. From Martin County High School, Madeline Tuma. From Martin County High School, Nina Goyal. From South Fork High School, Ehan Astana. From Jensen Beach High School, Maddie Parr. From South Fork High School, Rohan Call. And from South Fork High School, Julian Cebollero.
We'll take a quick photo. With the
All right, hold on. Congratulations to all of our science fair winners. You're good to go.
Yes, congratulations. Okay. We are going to now move to public comment. We're kind of off kilter because public comment on the agenda is 5 o'clock. It's usually, but we usually start at 4. So we're a little bit late, but if do we have, Ms. Falls, do we have any public comment? All right. Seeing none, we will then move on. Okay, next up, we have item 14.02, our school improvement and leadership updates for Raise schools.
All right. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Main. My name is Lauren Gifford, Executive Director of School Improvement and Leadership, and it is my honor and pleasure to be here this evening to share some critical updates around school improvement with our Raise schools, specifically highlighting 2 of our 6 Raise schools this evening. So what is RAISE? RAISE was established by Florida statute and provides instructional supports to schools, districts, and educators to accelerate reading achievement using evidence-based practices grounded in the science of reading. It is a program which is designed to improve literacy outcomes for students in elementary grades. Thank you. Next, I'd like to talk about the criteria for RAISE status. So first, a school serving kindergarten through 5th grade is identified for RAISE support if 50% or more of students score below a level 3 on the statewide English Language Arts ELA PM3 assessment in any grade level, or progress monitoring data shows 50% or more students are not on track to pass the grade 3 ELA assessment. Additionally, at least 10 students must be enrolled during both the second and third FTE survey window. So currently we have 6 schools that are identified as RAISE schools. They are J.D. Parker, Seawind Elementary School, Port Salerno Elementary School, Hobe Sound Elementary School, Warfield, and Pinewood Elementary School. It is important to note that RAISE identification is strictly performance-based and data-driven. It is separate of the school grade accountability model. The RAISE data that you see in the slide deck in the table is reflective of the 24-25 school year, the ELA PM3 data. It's also important to note that these students are now currently sitting in the next grade level up this school year. When you look at the cells across the data table, any cell that is shaded blue underneath a particular grade level indicates that RAISE criteria was met for that particular grade level. Any cell shaded white indicates RAISE criteria was not met for that grade level. Once RAISE schools are identified, they are then tiered into 3 different types of status, and I'll go into those in a little bit more detail in the next few slides. So schools that are identified as RAISE support will either be classified as universal, targeted, or intensive. And when you look at the graphic, universal starts as the least intensive and then moves its way across. Additionally, each RAISE school is required to complete a school improvement plan that has a focus on literacy. They are also afforded the luxury of having our state regional literacy director, her name is Mandy Rowland, provide ongoing professional learning and also helps our district monitor implementation of evidence-based reading instruction. So I want to first talk about universal support. This is the first tier of support. Currently in the state of Florida, there are 1,223 schools that are identified as receiving universal RAISE supports. This means that in grades K through 5, 50% or more of students scored below a level 3 in any grade level on the spring PM3 ELA assessment last year. For our district, we currently have 2 schools, Hobe Sound Elementary School and Seawind Elementary School, that are receiving universal RAISE support. What this looks like is these schools are able to receive professional learning aligned to Florida's best ELA standards. They receive literacy leadership team and coach professional learning and access to statewide resources such as region rallies, book studies, and webinars. The second tier is targeted RAISE support. Targeted RAISE support means that 50% or more of grade 2 students scored below a level 3 on the spring ELA 2025 progress monitoring assessment. This is important because although RAISE is not part of the school grade accountability model, these second graders are now sitting in 3rd grade classrooms, and with the school grade model, the ELA proficiency or achievement does count 2 times. The 3 schools that are receiving targeted support based on last year's PM3 data are J.D. Parker, PSE, and Pinewood Elementary School. It is important to note that these 3 schools also are afforded the targeted supports that universal schools receive, but in addition to, they also get differentiated support based on their trending data for literacy. Their literacy leadership team implementation and planning strategies are provided, and train the trainer opportunities to build school staff capacity in these schools. The third and final tier for RAISE is intensive. So what this means is that 65% or more of students in grade 3 scored below a level 3 on the spring ELA 2025 PM3 assessment last school year. We currently have one school receiving intensive supports, and that is Warfield Elementary School. Just like the targeted support schools, Warfield also has access to supports at the universal level, targeted, and intensive. What intensive really provides that's unique and a little bit different is they have full on-site coaching that's available to them by the state regional literacy director. She can help coordinate literacy walks on campus, help monitor the school improvement plan and the implementation of that, model classroom development, provide collaborative planning or PLCs for the staff, and provide differentiated support based on data. So why it matters, it's pretty obvious why it matters. RAISE status is signaling that additional literacy support is needed to help close achievement gaps early on in our students' academic career. By identifying those pivotal pieces that need to be remediated, schools can begin working on those now with targeted supports. RAISE is a little bit different than some of our other exit plan requirements for ESSA designations because it doesn't have much criteria other than evaluating it at the end of the school year, looking at ELA PM3 progress monitoring data. That really is the exit criteria that is utilized. For our school district in this school year, we've put a lot of intensive supports for these 6 RAISE schools, and our goal would be to see a reduction in the tiers that these schools are sitting in to eventually move them up and completely out. Finally, one other slide I'd like to highlight for you is some of the targeted supports that are being provided through school improvement. My particular role overlaps with many other departments, which is great. There's a lot of collaboration going on, but I did want to highlight some new things that are taking place that are unique for this school year. First of all, we have quarterly action plans that schools are asked to create. Those are submitted to me. And essentially what this does is the schools have their big rocks from their school improvement plan goals. These are year-long goals. The quarterly action plans are developed to put these long-term goals into short-term action steps. So they are tracking specifically each quarter things that they're working on towards boosting ELA achievement and also providing how are they monitoring it. So they're able to see data to see if we need to course correct a little bit, we need to try something different, or this is trending very well and strong and we're getting the results that we're hoping for. Those quarterly action plans are part of the rigor walks that take place at these schools as well, so they're very much aware of their school improvement goals and those finite steps that they're taking for improvement. Additionally, we do have the regular rigor walks that we've been utilizing, but we've also embedded now in smaller rigor walk teams that go out in between cycles, so that way that constant feedback, coaching, monitoring is happening and we're not letting too much time pass in between. Myself, I do follow up with coaching cycles with our school site administrators or teams. That could be looking at going back to inspect classrooms that were previously visited from a rigor walk. It could be attending a professional learning community and providing coaching and feedback there, or attending principals' classrooms as well. Something I'm most excited about are the next 2 bullet items. First one is the development of RAISE liaisons for each school. Every single school out of the 6 has 2 designated district staff members who are present and are on their campus actively working, coaching, supporting every single week. This has been a critical piece because, again, we want to make sure that we're not putting too much time in between visits, whether it be an IRW, myself, or the liaisons, and we come together every Thursday in our ILM meetings to discuss how are things going, what's working well, what are they asking for, what supports do we need to deploy next week. I think that's been a beautiful relationship, and our schools are definitely feeling a very high level of support. Also, we just finished our 4th monthly RAISE Literacy Leadership Council. This is essentially a professional learning community for the 6 RAISE school administrators. So every month, each school team comes and meets for about an hour and a half and has their own time to learn from each other. So we started by identifying areas of need across literacy, with 3rd grade being a hot topic, and also navigating nonfiction texts was also a common struggle. So the school site administrators problem solved around data, did some sharing around what was working well at some schools, what they were struggling with at others. We've provided professional learning for our administrators. And then my favorite part is that they then plan things to take back to their school sites. And then we have schools as spotlight schools each month who share strategies and things that are happening on their campus and what's working well. And just seeing our administrators being able to take things back and replicate with their school sites has been extremely powerful. Finally, just some last few bullet items. A lot of collaboration happening with my department of one and the ESE department, Student Services, Curriculum and Instruction. We have regular time that we meet, we problem solve, and really try to make sure that we are helping to close the gap for these schools and doing every single thing that we can. Prioritize hiring for vacancies has occurred. Thank you to Human Resources and Executive Director Raymond, who's been very helpful. And again, us putting our heads together, problem solving, and making sure that these schools are staffed and students have teachers in front of them. ESE scaffolds and ELL scaffold checklists have been developed and deployed out into schools. Again, this is another tool of strategies, go-to strategies that principals can look for, teach their staff to utilize, so that we're also looking at that upward momentum that we need for subgroups as well. And then finally, we got to see a little bit of this in action today, but new data dashboards have been created, which gives our schools data at their fingertips in real time, lots of different pieces of information to just quickly be able to see how things are trending, and versus principals having to hand calculate things and make spreadsheets. So this is a big game changer for really all of our schools, and I'm very excited about that. So that was a lot of information. The next portion of the presentation, I'm going to turn over to Executive Director Moore, who will be highlighting some specific data points for our first school up on deck, which will be Port Salerno Elementary School. And then Principal Schaefer will follow with some detailed explanation of plans and things that are happening at Port Salerno to address their RAISE status and boost literacy performance.
Would you like to take questions first on
Sure.
this subject, and then we can move on to the next part? Did you, Ms. Roberts?
So, knowing this has to do with the science of reading, is anybody collecting the information on, say, volunteer hours for reading with the students, as opposed to what it was last year, the prior year, and what it is this year? And then also compare it to other schools that are not RAISE schools? Have we looked at that?
That is not something I'm aware of, but we can certainly look into that, and I can get that data for you.
Okay, well, I don't want you to collect something if it has no value. I just wondered if it, I mean, I know that one of the things with Port Salerno being a lab school, and one of the things we're asking the community is, we're asking them to help and volunteer to read. So I would think in an accountability model, that would be something that we would be looking at and tracking in order to see whether we're meeting that goal or not. I mean, so I don't want to create more work if it has no value, but I just think it's a natural kind of question. The hours that you're doing for professional learning, I'm assuming that you're tracking that by grade level and by teacher, and that that's significantly different than a non-RAISE school?
So we do have all that information tracked, so there is, and I believe you guys all have access to a raised notebook, and so the professional learning that's occurring with our state regional literacy director is tracked. That would be separate professional learning of any additional professional learning that could be planned for through our department. But yes, the frequency and intensity would be more intense for our raised schools because it's significant to their data and their trending data and their needs and early literacy.
So I guess the question, I'm asking the superintendent probably more. So I guess the question is that professional learning, it's more intense and somebody's monitoring to be sure that it is more intense than the non-raised schools, correct?
Yes, ma'am, and that, a lot of that professional development is being provided directly by the state literacy coordinator herself. But yes, that is all
Okay.
being tracked.
And I noticed that you said that the state literacy coordinator can do literacy walks for the intensive schools. Is the coordinator doing those walks, or is it she can do them, but she's not doing them, or?
Yes, and I think our schools, when they come up and present, will be able to elaborate on that a little bit more. But our regional literacy director is wonderful and is right in there doing the work. She's very committed. She's been here for multiple years and really works beautifully with the schools to give them what they need. So she's pretty intensive herself, I would say that.
Okay, and you said there were 1,223 universal schools. How many are there in targeted and intensive in the state? Do we know that number?
I do not know that, but I will find that out for you.
Okay, and I had, hang on. The rigor walks that you're doing, are they more intense with a raised school than they are with a non-raised school? And can you give us some information about that?
Yes, so the raised schools have really the mini rigor walk that's happening in between. So our typical schools will have the designated rigor walks. Now, the mini teams are going out to do the mini walks the following week. So all of that gets organized through ILM each Thursday. We talk about the data trends, what's needed, who's going out, and then it's just a constant cycle of sharing the practices, the needs, what the trends are.
Okay, and somebody is monitoring the quarterly action plans? I mean, at one point you said that this is a once-a-year snapshot, and we won't be looking at, the state won't be looking to see who's a raised school until we get to the end of the year. But if we have quarterly action plans in an accountability model, we would be looking at those quarterly action plans as the quarter ends to be sure that we've hit all the things that are in the quarterly action plan. We haven't left anything on the table, correct?
Yes, so that is the exact role of Executive Director Gifford. She is the one that's responsible for making sure that those quarterly action plans are being monitored, uploaded, and completed. She's also tracking all of that data and work towards the quarterly action goals, and that is all being reflected in the principal's evaluation as they work together for their mid-year evaluation.
Thank you. And I had some questions, probably more for the principals than anybody else, as to how being an avid school ties in with the work you're doing for a race school. But thank you very much.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Executive Director Moore.
All right. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent. It is my privilege to set the stage for Principal Schaefer as he shares with you what they are doing with their raise status, what specific initiatives, and spotlighting some of their successes and continued areas for development. So first, I want to share a little bit more about their raise designation. So Executive Director Gifford outlined what the 3 different tiers are and how each school may fall into those tiers. Specific to Port Salerno, they fall in both universal and targeted based on the state designation. For universal, it's more than 50% of students in any grade below a level 3, and then targeted is specific to grade 2. And so looking at universal, it's every grade except for first grade. So kindergarten, second, third, fourth, and fifth would land them in that universal tier. Even if it was just one of them, it would still be in the universal tier. And then targeted is specific to second grade because of the importance moving into third grade, where they will be assessed from the state accountability model for school grades. So they pulled targeted out to kind of be like the bottom line focus. If they're not successful going into third grade, they want us to draw our attention to that so that we can provide targeted supports. From the district lens, we partner with the schools to track data, and so I've given you two midpoint data collection pieces for us to look at today that help set the stage for what is working at Port Salerno and what things we are continuing to work on. So the first set of data is monthly diagnostic data. This is an ELA snapshot captured every month. What these numbers mean is essentially grade level, right? And so, for example, a 153 would be halfway through first grade. It is 10 points of growth every month is the goal. Ultimately, you're looking at the average. And so as you can see, we're tracking month to month which grade levels are moving. With this snapshot in December, we had to have this ready before the January data was complete. We have that data and I can share it with you. But looking at the December date, we would hope to see 40 points of growth from that August baseline. In some grades, we have met and exceeded that. In others, we are not quite there yet. And Principal Schaefer will talk a little bit more about what they're doing in that arena. And then also we have fast ELA PM1 to PM2 data tracking growth. As Executive Director Gifford shared, this is not exactly the same as school grade. There is some alignment and overlap, and there is some data to indicate that it leads to better outcomes when you focus on these literacy components, especially in the K-1-2 sphere leading up into 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And so just to keep a snapshot of kind of where we're at overall, we are seeing some growth in each grade level. And so some of the things that we are doing currently are showing us growth on the state measurement system in addition to our own local ELA diagnostic. But we want to see continued growth, and so we continue to dig deeper. And so this is a subgroup data overview. This is some of the data that we are now able to obtain using Power BI. We're able to break down into specific subgroups of students to help further drive improvement and help improve our RAISE designation. Even though RAISE is not specific to subgroups, we feel that it's important because certain subgroups are underperforming, and we want to make sure that by bringing those groups up, we're bringing the overall total up. And so this is data that our principals now have access to and are able to track in real time. What you're looking at is an above or below. And so the numbers you're seeing between PM1 and PM2, the red indicates below the average for the school, the green indicates above the average for the school. And so we have some subgroups that are not performing at that baseline set by their total student population, and so we continue to work in partnership with our schools to raise those areas. And then on the right, you have a breakdown of our growth based on achievement level, so not scale score, but average achievement level for each grade as we continue to align our RAISE designation supports with feeding into our school grade and improving outcomes for all students. So with that data, I'm going to turn it over to Principal Schaefer, who will talk a little bit more about how we got here and what we are doing next. Principal Schaefer?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Main. Thank you for the opportunity this evening to speak about the wonderful things happening on Port Salerno Elementary School's campus. My name is David Schaefer. I'm the proud principal there, and am happy to share some of the wonderful things happening and some of the supports from our district staff to help us out this school year. So as you can see on the slides, we have two school improvement goals focused on English language arts. Our first is for 3rd grade reading, trying to get our students to 45% proficiency on their PM3 assessment. And then our second school improvement goal is focused on student learning gains for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, that at least 65% of our students will make a learning gain by the time they take their PM3 assessment based on their prior year. So as of right now, our 3rd grade's at 38%, so we did see a 7% increase from PM1 to PM2. Or sorry, it was 38% last year, so our goal reflects a 7% increase where they were from last year on PM3, I apologize. And then with learning gains last year, we were at 56%, so our goal reflects a 9% increase overall. Now, if we can stick to these two school improvement goals and maintain our other areas, we will have enough school grade component points to move back to B school grade status overall for Port Salerno Elementary School. Keeping two simple ELA goals also allows us and my leadership team to focus our decisions and our allocations to those two goals and make sure we are making decisions in the best interest of those goals and those focus points for the school year. So some key action steps this school year For MTSS, we did hire a new prevention intervention specialist who is overseeing our MTSS process. She helped with the rollout of Lexia Core 5, which we are implementing from kindergarten through 5th grade for our MTSS process to help support students, identify gaps in their learning, and then start to fill some of those gaps with targeted small group instruction. We've also implemented tutoring for our grades 3, 4, and 5 students, focusing on ELA, focusing on our L25 students and how we can support them as learners, identifying their needs and providing them supports after school, trying to make the activities fun. Again, utilizing that Lexia Core 5 program to push their learning and again, continue to fill gaps and help them move as learners. In addition, we have been able to hire 2 interventionists to help support in grades 3 and grade 4. Those 2 interventionists are working with small groups in classrooms, pushing in each day. We've been very strategic in their scheduling, focusing on students who have learning needs, they have gaps in their learning, allowing them to focus on the individual needs of those students, trying to pair them up so that they're strategically grouped, so that when they go in to push into a classroom, they're pulling a group of like needs so they can identify and work with more students at one time and support them in their learning. Those interventionists are using Benchmark Advanced level readers to support their learning in addition to the Lexia Core 5 that we're using for MTSS. I know Ms. Roberts mentioned earlier about AVID. We're continuing with AVID engagement strategies across our campus. We're very excited that April 10th, we will be having our second AVID showcase at Ports Lorna Elementary School to highlight the amazing AVID engagement strategies that are occurring on our campus. Those allow our students to really dig deeper into their learning and really understand more of what they're reading. So as we've implemented that across our campus, we have seen student achievement increase year over year. And then finally, transparency. Our data is very transparent on our campus, whether it's in our conference room with our gap eliminators, on our data sheets that are up in the hallway. Our teachers are very transparent in their data. We have open, transparent data conversations within our PLCs, and we've communicated that to many stakeholders across our campus, such as SAC members and parents when they come in. So some other things that are happening, we also have implemented something called Project Stellar. This is based off some work that is replicating the Moonshot project that is occurring at Vero Beach Elementary School in Indian River County. We started that last year in kindergarten. It's a program that partners with the Children's Services Council, the Education Foundation, and the Martin County School District to really focus on early childhood education. So with that program, we have been able to have a dedicated kindergarten, first grade literacy coach, as well as an interventionist who started with us to support students with U-Fly phonics instruction to really help move these students in early literacy so we're not continually fighting this barrier of 3rd grade readers when they get to 3rd grade trying to move towards proficiency. In addition, we have quarterly celebrations of learning where we welcome parents in. Students share their progress over time and how they're performing on assessments. They share their goals, what they've been working on, and they also have a cumulative learning project that they do with the parents when they're in the classroom. And then lastly, just consistent instructional walks. We need to be in our classrooms focusing on what's happening in the room with our teachers and our students, supporting students daily in the classroom and checking in with them and seeing what they need to be successful. We also have something we call our gap eliminators. It is a data form that we've used on our campus for the last few years that allows us to look at our students and how they're progressing in their learning. While a student may still be a level 1 from PM1 to PM2, did they go from a low level 1 to a high level 1? Are they moving within those levels? And are we seeing that progress over time? That allows our teachers and our staff to reflect on their progress and try to identify barriers and things that may be going on in their learning so we can help problem solve as a team and figure out how we can support them. So some successes I would like to share. Right now, 2nd grade was scoring at 23% proficient, so that was a 12% increase from PM1. Third grade was at 22% proficient, so they saw a 9% increase. Third grade also saw an 18% reduction in level 1, so students moved from a level 1 to a level 2 or higher. Grade 4 was at 29% proficient, had a 9% increase, and then grade 5 is at 36% proficient, which was 15%. Last year, our fifth graders scored at 37% at PM3, so our fifth graders right now are already performing where they were at PM3 last school year, so we're excited about that. So overall, we're at 29% proficiency in grades 3 through 5, which was an 11% increase, but we did see 30% of our students at a level 2, and now moving into the second half of the year, that's where we can focus some of our work, is our level 2 students and how we get them to a level 3 or higher. We did see 33% of our students achieve a learning gain based on their PM2 scores, and 40% of our bottom quartile students made a learning gain. Something we're also very proud of is our third graders who are our bottom quartile learners, our retained students. 67% of them have already made a learning gain based on PM1 to PM2. So we're really excited to see where they fall at PM3. And where we're hitting the marks right now with ELA, I think we will hit both of our SIP goals that I shared with you at the beginning of our slideshow. And that's all based on the current PM2 data we took back in December, right before the break. So some next steps for Port Salerno Elementary School as we move into February and later into the school year. We're going to continue our work from our action plans. I shared with my staff when we came back from Christmas break that we need to stay consistent to our plan. We're going to evaluate it and make little tweaks to things along the way because we are seeing the progress we want to see, but we're going to stick to what we set forth to in August. We have strong standards-based PLCs where our teachers are really debating standards and what that means for our students and their instruction, and then pairing our curriculum resources to our state standards so that we can support learners. We're going to continue to use our AVID engagement strategies to enhance our instructional curriculum. We're going to continue with transparent data practices at Port Salerno where we can talk about how our students are performing, which classrooms are not hitting the mark, and what supports we can put in place to help them be successful. We're currently doing data chats with all of our 3 through 5 teachers right now, figuring out how we can support them and make sure that their students are successful. We're going to continue with our after-school tutoring program as well and making sure that we support students there. In addition to that, we have 34 students who are at a level 2 in grade 3 that we are going to focus on here in the second semester with all hands on deck. Myself, my leadership team, my literacy coaches, our school counselors, all have groups of students that we are going to be supporting daily with their instruction to help make sure that we get those students to proficiency. Ms. Gifford mentioned Mandy Rowland, our RAISE coach. She's going to continue to support our K-2 teachers at PSE. She's been a huge asset with the rollout of the UFly phonics program for our staff and making sure that we are implementing that with fidelity. That's going to set us up for future success down the line. And then Project Stellar, the work that is happening down in kindergarten with the partnership with Children's Services Council and the Education Foundation has really been a game changer for our students. We're able to take students in kindergarten and really provide them the supports that they need to ensure that they're successful by the time they leave kindergarten and into first grade and into second grade. So we're happy to continue that program and hope to see that continue and build and be successful, and hopefully one day be looking at similar scores to what Vero Beach Elementary has for their third grade proficiency. So that's our eventual goal. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Any questions?
So I'm looking at your monthly numbers for fourth grade. Any thoughts, comments, anything special you doing?
So we do have the intervention is working in fourth grade, and something we've seen over time with fourth grade at PM2, it always comes back and looks worrisome, and then PM3, they get to where they need to go. Something we focus on at Port Salerno is learning gains. So looking at the students and how they scored at PM3 last year, we provided our teachers with the score the students needed to count for a learning gain in August when they got their class list. So we're currently evaluating how they scored in comparison to that and seeing who we can support and how we can support them.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And I did want to mention as well, I know you asked about volunteers. I know right now in K-2 with Project Stellar, we have 7 volunteers from 4 Cs that are supporting our early literacy down there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I will be setting the stage now for Warfield Elementary and Principal Sumner. So Warfield is unique in that they meet the criteria for all three RAISE designations. So they would fall under universal supports, which again is more than 50% of students in any grade level being below the level 3 on the statewide assessment. Every grade, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, falls below that threshold. They also fall into targeted, which is specific to second grade, and then intensive, which is more than 65% of students in grade 3 below level 3 on statewide ELA assessments. And so intensive supports, looking at third grade, this is again last year's third graders, they're now fourth graders. 83% of those students were not at level 3 or higher. And so before I let Principal Sumner share all the things that she's doing to address literacy, let me set the stage with some specific data. So as I shared with Port Salerno, the top data is our monthly snapshot of ELA progress. The numbers that you see here month to month, those correlate with a grade level. And so as you look at certain grade levels, you will notice that students started far below the grade level that they're in. For example, fifth grade started 2 months into third grade as their literacy level. And so they have almost 2 years of growth to catch in 1 year. In third grade, we see similar patterns. They're halfway through first grade, but they're in fourth grade. We have seen some tremendous jumps at Warfield Elementary. We've seen some jumps of almost 100 points looking at the January snapshot that we were not able to include because of when this was due. But I will share that with the board so that you can see where those growths are happening and how they're getting there. Looking at their FAST ELA PM data, which is what ultimately will inform school grade, we are seeing some growth across third, fourth, and fifth grade on a trajectory that would yield improvement at the end of the year. And I'm sure that Principal Sumner will share a little bit more about how we got there. Looking at their specific subgroups, trying to be intentional and targeted with which students we're supporting, how we're supporting them, and understanding the challenges that those students have, you can see that it is the majority of subgroups that are falling below that average. Hispanic and Latino subgroups are only 1% and 2% below in ELA and on track in math. We don't see the same significant gaps here that we see traditionally at other schools. SWD and ELL students are close to that 8 to 10% range, with the very small subgroups of American Indian and Asian being far below, but again, those are smaller subgroups, and so each kid counts as a higher percentage. As you can see, we're also seeing growth in achievement levels at both the ELA and math section, which we are tracking for overall school grade, knowing that literacy yields better outcomes across the board. With that, I will introduce Principal Sumner.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Superintendent Main. My name is Adele Sumner, and I am the principal at Warfield Elementary. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to present to you our mid-year RAISE data and share how our team is accelerating student growth at Warfield Elementary. So Warfield is currently a C school. As a product of rounding, we have ambitious goals and are working towards earning our B. To get there, we need 100 more school grade points and 14% proficiency increase to get our 54% B. The goals are big, but our actions are bigger. We have dedicated teachers, coaches, administrators, and strong district support. We also have our guidance from our state literacy director. And our entire team is committed to doing the work needed to gradually move our students out of RAISE status. Every quarter, we have our action plans. In quarter one, our focus was really building on our strong teacher and staff capacity. 80% of our teachers are in their 1 to 3 years of teaching. So our priorities were really on coaching them and modeling. These trainings were in our new phonics initiative, UFly, and on our Lexia Core 5 intervention program. In addition, we provided support for small group instruction and benchmark aligned instruction. Our paraprofessionals were also provided professional learning on literacy programs, and they were stationed across classrooms to run small groups. Their focus were on oral language, sight words, letter sound correspondence, and vocabulary. In quarter 2, we took a look at our data and saw that we really need to meet more of our ELL students' needs. Since 65% of our students in our tested grades are English language learners, we had to really make sure we provided professional development for our teachers and support them on best practices for our ELL instruction, and we used our Elevation program for that. We increased the use of scaffolding, visuals, and sentence stems through lesson studies with our state regional literacy director as well. So as you can see, our quarter 1 and quarter 2 action steps proved effective. There were a lot of gains, not where we want it right now. They're very gradual. Through targeted professional development, consistent instructional coaching, and the implementation of our data-driven small group instruction, our students are demonstrating a clear upward trend towards proficiency. As you can see, last year our ELA proficiency for 3rd to 5th grade was at 24%, and currently we are at 19%. In 3rd grade, we were at 16% last year in PM3, and currently we are at 14%. So we're pretty close to where we ended last year. This data shows that all grade levels showed growth from PM1 to PM2. It reflects stronger instructional alignment and increased teacher capacity through those professional learning. Early literacy initiatives and supports for our ELL learners contributed to this gains, really addressing the foundational skills. The coaching cycles, the lesson studies, the targeted small groups, and intervention supports ensured the instruction matched the students' needs in real time. And these actions are moving us closer to our overarching goal of really getting 50% in K1 and 2 to move us out of the race status. So now that we are on semester 2, we are going to keep strengthening the work. We are strengthening the work even more than we did in semester 1. We are strengthening the data-driven instruction, expanding intervention and small group supports. We're increasing our professional support and literacy expertise, and we're extending our learning time. A little about each. So we're conducting ongoing data chats with our teachers in kindergarten to 5th grade to analyze their PM2 results and determine the next instructional steps. We are also reviewing the PM2 data along with other formative and summative assessments to ensure every student that's needing intervention is identified without delay. From there, we updated our MTSS groups so students receive the right support at the right time. And then our related art staff are helping us support the foundational skills that the students need, that's not already on MTSS. We also have coaches and administrators, and we're actively pulling small groups almost every day for spiral review and targeted practice that are aligned to grade level expectations. And our ELL coach is working directly with our 3rd to 5th grade students to help them really understand the assessment and provide them and practice their accommodations using a test-like environment. We're also continuing our collaboration with our RAISE literacy director, focusing on research-based practices for grades K through 5. And it's really important because it builds the teacher capacity around high-quality literacy instruction and effective scaffolding for our diverse learners. And lastly, there's just not enough time in the day to remediate all of the skills that our students need. So this is the reason why we've been running after-school tutorials since November. And so our grades 3 to 5, 3 times a week, engage in tutorial. And at this time, I think we had 7 sign up today. So we're up to about almost 90 students in tutorial. Using this extended time to reinforce priority standards, vocabulary, and comprehension strategies have really shown effective. So prior to the start of the day, our support facilitator is also doing tutoring with students with disabilities 4 times a week. And That's about it. So I'm just proud of the work our teachers and staff and students are doing every single day. Their commitment, their heart, and their dedication is really what's moving Warfield forward. One highlight that I'm especially excited to share is that 3 of our paraprofessionals have successfully graduated from a teacher program, and now they hold bachelor's degrees in education. So 2 of them are now in the classroom of their own, bringing with them the strong instructional foundation that they gained in semester 1 when they were co-teaching with master teachers side by side. So they're so confident and capable and deeply committed to the students' success. So these ladies represent the spirit of our school. Their dedication is making a difference, and we are so proud to see them grow as educators. This is important for a raised school because at Warfield, we're cultivating tomorrow's teachers. By developing our local talent, we are strengthening our school, which will solidify our teacher retention. So together, we're building something extraordinary. So thank you so much for giving me the chance to share Warfield Elementary's mid-year progress.
Thank you. Any questions? Ms. Pritchett?
A general question.
Yes.
So we have these schools that are raised schools, and then we have the ones who are not. Are we implementing any of what they're doing to get success to help these schools get that
Yes.
success?
That's a great question. So yes, all of our other schools are also implementing action plans. I'm excited to be starting what I'm calling a Spark Session PLC for some of our schools that are not in status to start replicating things that we're seeing a lot of success with. So yes, yes, and yes.
I like that answer.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And again, I want to thank Principal Sumner, Principal Schaefer for sharing with you all tonight. I could not be more proud of the work and the intensity that's happening at their school sites. They are all in, and I can tell you everyone else who's supporting these schools is also all in, and we're going to see it through to the finish line. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you both.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we're gonna, the superintendent update I know includes a lot of this information too, but I thought we might want a little break from that, and we'll do our district update with Derek Lowe.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent, members of the board. My name is Derek Lowe, Coordinator of Public Information and Community Relations. It's my pleasure to bring you the first district update of 2026. Kicking things off, the Martin County School District is welcoming its newest learners through what we call Kindergarten Kickoff. Kindergarten Kickoff is a special orientation event designed to help families prepare for the transition into kindergarten. On February 4th, which I believe is next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m., families of incoming kindergartners are invited to their child's future elementary school to tour the campus, meet school leaders, visit a kindergarten classroom, and learn how to support a smooth start to elementary school. Staff will also be able to share important information about transportation, school meals, extended day programs, and other student services with on-site assistance available also for 2026-2027 school year enrollment. The event is designed to ensure families feel informed, welcomed, and confident as they take this first important step in their child's educational journey. So again, next Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. We're not just limiting it to kindergartners. The Martin County School District is now open for enrollment and school choice applications for next school year for everyone, giving families across the entire state of Florida the opportunity to apply to any school in the district, including for VPK. Martin County residents receive priority always, and students accepted through school choice may continue attending through the highest grade level offered at their selected school with transportation provided by families for out-of-zone placements. Applications submitted by March 31st receive highest priority, with enrollment and school choice applications completed through the Focus Parent Portal. Instructions on how to create a Focus Parent Portal account can be found on the district's website, martinschools.org. Students will start to receive notifications of acceptance beginning in mid-April. The Martin County School District continues to set the standard for student success, with graduation rates once again increasing and surpassing the state average. Statistics recently released by the Florida Department of Education show that the class of 2025 achieved a district-wide graduation rate of 93.7%, exceeding the state's 92.2%. And when looking just at our 3 comprehensive high schools, that graduation rate climbs to an impressive 96.6%. Each high school saw growth year over year, with Jensen Beach at 98.6%, Martin County High School at 96.8%, and South Fork High School at 94.7%, reflecting the collective commitment of our students, our educators, and staff to ensuring that every graduate is prepared for college, careers, or military service. Martin County High School basketball coach John Leon was recently named the 2024-2025 Florida Athletic Coaches Association Coach of the Year, recognizing his historic success and lasting impact on our students. Since joining the Tigers back in 2010, Coach Leon has led the team to a school record 313, 71 losses, 8 district championships, multiple regional playoff appearances, and that state championship we all remember very well back in 2021 and 2022. Beyond coaching, he serves as a dean and mentor at the school, guiding student athletes both on and off the court. And this year, as you may remember, the Leons are truly a powerhouse couple. Mrs. Shonda Leon, a science teacher at Martin County High School, and Coach Leon's wife was also named the district's Teacher of the Year. So we're incredibly proud of them. That concludes the first district update of 2026. Until next month, you can find us wherever you scroll. We have our own app, as well as profiles on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. And while this was the first district update, it is Derek's last district update, sadly. We're going to really miss him, and we wish you all the best as you set out for your new adventure. So it's been a pleasure working alongside you, and we really appreciate all you've done to really elevate the district and our social and our presence in the community. So we really appreciate it. So we'll miss you.
We'll miss you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have the superintendent's update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to wish Derek the very best of luck. Thank you for everything that you have done. It's greatly appreciated, and you will be missed, but a phone call away. Please keep in touch and keep spreading all the great news, but from afar now, so thank you. I also want to thank Dr. Anita Caswell and the Murray Middle School Honors Choir. They're just such a beautiful sound, and she does a phenomenal job, and anytime we can recognize the arts, we love to do that. At this time, Madam Chair, I would like to call up to the podium Chief DeShazo and Director Platt from Professional Learning to report from the podium. Earlier this month, the board did receive district's midpoint impact report for the current academic year. The report provides a high-level snapshot of how the organization has been intentionally led through our first semester. Each department submitted evidence of the frameworks and workflows implemented this year, the challenges that they had to identify and that they addressed, and the conditions that are being monitored that directly affect our schools and their strategic priorities. While Chief DeShazo and Director Platt coordinated this work and can speak to the process and intent, I also want to let you know that we do have members of our key leadership team here in the audience that can provide further clarification should you have any questions related to their respective areas of responsibility. And at this time, if both of you ladies would please walk the governance team through some of the areas, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Main. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Before we take any questions that the board may have, we want to be clear about the intent of this compilation. Our purpose in producing this first ever report and sharing it transparently is to demonstrate our collective discipline, judgment, execution, and impact across the organization. Our continued focus as a school district remains on organizational health, or how our resources are aligned, how challenges are managed, how performance is monitored, and how course corrections are made when necessary.
As you review the report, you will notice that it is not just a list of status updates or departmental activities. Rather, it is a depiction of how our leadership decisions, systems, and monitoring are being used to strengthen all facets of the organization.
We asked our department and divisional leaders to prepare this work as though they would be presenting to you this evening, not because each will do so tonight, but to ensure the level of intentionality and accountability a demonstration of this impact requires.
Our goal is for you to walk away with confidence in how our school system is being led and also positioned for success across all areas of operation. We are happy to take your questions.
Any questions? Ms. Roberts?
Yes, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Superintendent Main. I mean, I think that a report of this type and caliber does show how we are different and does show the intentionality and the way that we make decisions in Martin County. I had some specific questions that I won't get into here, but I am meeting with Superintendent Main to go through those questions, and I'm sure they'll come back to you all to go back to the appropriate person that gets them. But I mean, I think it's the kind of thing you don't often see in education. I mean, I think in education, we're always busy in comparing ourselves to whoever's next to us or whoever's the same size or whoever's close to us in a ranking system. And we don't look at us as we stand alone and determine what we do and how we make decisions and how our leadership is affecting those decisions. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I think it's a great document. I can't wait to see the end of the year report to see where we go from there. I did notice in the report that there's a lot of metrics that could be measured or are probably being measured. And by metrics, I don't mean I took 49 phone calls or I handled 69 of these type of requests or something. I view those things as a normal course of business. That's the part of your job that you're hired to do, that you should be doing on an ongoing basis. That of course those pieces are important, because if that volume exceeds a certain level, you would always look to, well, I need to put some stopgap measures into place or do something to kind of like drive that down so that isn't the main thing you're doing. But I think the report doesn't speak to that. The report is speaking to how you're making decisions and what those decisions actually mean, whether it's financial or for the good of the organization. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we did have a couple of pre-identified exemplars to kind of speak to what Mrs. Roberts shared. Some departments that had presented initiatives that we felt were particularly impactful or different. So I plan to call those representatives of those departments up so that they can go over a couple initiatives just to give you all an idea of the scope of this report. The first person I'd like to call up is Dr. Paige McMahon, the coordinator of curriculum and instruction, and she's going to talk to you all about strengthening instructional continuity and early literacy systems across schools.
Good evening again. My name is Paige McMahon. I am the coordinator of curriculum and instruction, and I am excited to share with you a small snapshot of the work we've been doing this year to strengthen our instructional consistency and our early literacy in particular across the school district. So some systemic risks that existed that we identified and work around problem solving are the inconsistent instructional practices we notice. We want all of our students to receive a high quality instruction, not just some of them, of course. As you heard before, we do have some academic performance gaps identified specifically in our RAISE schools. There was an insufficient early identification of student learning needs and an inconsistent use of data, which we are definitely working to problem solve around now, especially with tools like our new RAISE dashboard, which is really a game changer. Some of our key decisions and actions we've done in this school year so far, We have implemented UFly Foundations, which I heard both of our principals speak about earlier. That's been a wonderful addition to our curriculum in the early literacy space, and we are very excited to see that pay dividends when our students complete the PM3 assessment in literacy later this year. We've adopted the state-approved literacy intervention you also heard about. It's called Lexia Core 5 to strengthen our Tier 2 and Tier 3 literacy. And most schools are actually using that across K-5. It is the Florida's K-3 approved resource for required reading intervention, but we are using it to also address gaps at the 4th and 5th grade levels. We've established monthly collaboration meetings for our district and school site coaches to collaborate so we can share some of the common problems, the trends we're seeing, and then also share the successes. So if we do have one system working really well at one school, we're able to replicate that across the district to aid more schools in establishing that kind of success. We've implemented quite a bit of short cycle data collection. We have common formative assessments that are given across all content areas. And thanks to our data dashboards, it's also very easy for our administrators and teachers and district leaders to access that data, to discuss it, and to make that drive our instructional decision making in real time. We have regular review of our literacy screening and progress monitoring data thanks to our new programs, UFly Foundations and Lexia Core 5. As I mentioned before, we are using short cycle common assessment data to drive our everyday instructional decision making. And we are continuously monitoring our literacy implementation with Fidelity. We actually hosted UFly at 3 of our schools last week, and they told us that they had never seen a district implement with such fidelity. So that was a huge compliment to the work our school site and our district leaders and coaches, teachers, everyone has done. And we really want to thank UFly for that highly supported implementation we've rolled out this year. So value added, by doing all of these things and the hard work that our team has been leading, we want to improve our instructional consistency across all schools and all classrooms. We want to act earlier and identify those student needs sooner. We want to increase the alignment between core instruction and intervention, not have them as 2 separate systems. And we want to have that stronger foundation to close the early literacy gaps. The sooner we close those gaps, the sooner students can accelerate their learning and continue on to success. And I think that's the end of mine. Thank you.
And next I'll have Mr. Don Calderon come up, and he's going to speak to you about some innovations with our workers' compensation program management.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Main, Don Calderon, Director of Risk Management and Employee Benefits of the Martin County School District. So one of the things that Chief DeShazo has asked me to talk about is some of the proactive and unique things that we do here in Martin County to try and control our workers' compensation insurance premiums. So without getting into a whole 30-minute presentation, the summary of workers' compensation insurance is it's very complicated. However, it's mainly based on the National Council of Compensation Insurance, the NCCCI. And basically what it does, it takes organizations and measures your performance with like organizations of your size. So for us, it would be K through 12 organizations. And then it also has to do with your claims, with frequency and severity of your accidents in the workplace. And it allows you to make proactive measures and risk mitigation strategies in your organization what it does is it helps reward organizations that have kind of like a hand on the pulse of what's going on. So we have quite a few initiatives that we do here at Martin County School District. One of the things that we take a lot of pride on is our relationship with our property casualty broker and our third-party administrator, Relation Insurance. So for those of you who may not know, Relation Insurance was started by the McCrearys probably about 40 years ago, and they have been an integral part of our workers' compensation management program for the last 3 or 4 decades. They're located literally down the street from us, across the street, and it's very important that we have a very tight-knit relationship with our broker. The reason being is because with the president of our third-party administrator specializes in public entities, and we are involved with the South Central Educational Risk Management Program, SCRIMP, that is made up of 6 other school districts here. And the reason why I'm giving you that context is because public education is very unique. We have a wide variety of employees that work here that have different risks when it comes to workplace accidents. So we have transportation employees, we have paras and teachers, ELLs in the classroom, and then we also have our custodial workers, food service workers, warehouse workers that have a different set of risks. So what we do every other week on Tuesday morning is we meet with our adjusters. We have a fantastic team of experienced adjusters, which is very difficult to find nowadays. But through the relationship we have with Relation Insurance, they understand what we do to prioritize that relationship. And what we do is every other week we meet with our adjusters. We go over all of the open claims in our district, and we're reviewing everything from what their progress is medically, any legal outcomes that we are trying to take on, how quickly we can get them back to work. There's a multitude of different things that we are discussing every other week. Additionally, I speak to the adjusters on a daily basis. So having them nearby really does assist us because they understand everything that goes on from a public entity, but also what we are trying to do as a school district. So that's something out of the box that we do. Also, we have a variety of programs in place that have led to 6 consecutive years of decreased workers' compensation modules. So this number right here is you're trying to get as close to 1 as possible. So if you get to 1, you're basically paying what the NCCI says you should be paying for your business and your size and your organization of workers' compensation premium. So you could see where we started in 2019, we were at a 1.94. So if you do the math on it, we were basically paying almost double what we should have been. But through our department's initiatives over the years, you've seen year after year our decrease in that, and we are so close to being at 1, which is what our goal is for the 26-27 year. But our return to work program is extremely robust. So we have a fantastic relationship with our principals, our directors, secretaries, and we find unique ways to get our injured employees back at work. And so they're being productive to the school sites, but also they're working within their restrictions. So we are constantly speaking to all of our principals, secretaries, and directors, checking in on them, making sure that they're adhering to these restrictions, that they're being productive at their school sites. And really, when you afford employees a way to get back to work, keeping them in a paid status, you keep them motivated to get better and to return to full duty and continue on with their jobs. So that is a major thing that we do. Another thing is that we also have the post-offer employment testing, the POET. We've been up here and we've presented in years past, but basically, long story short, it's a way to ensure that those high-risk positions of injuries, that we're hiring applicants that are fulfilling the physical demands of that job. And we enacted that as well in 2019. But over the years, we've had to make adjustments. I have a great relationship with our directors of those departments where we have the POET in place, and there are times when we have to be flexible. If we're having trouble hiring, or if we're seeing that some of our other districts have a lower standard, we review it. We work together as a team. We're collaborative. So our goal is to find a way to say yes, but to keep our employees' health and safety at the forefront while making hiring decisions that will keep employees in those positions while they are meeting those physical demands. And so basically, you'll see right here that we've had 6 years of continued downward decrease in our workers' compensation module. And as Carter well knows, that's one of the main pieces of our property casualty insurance premium that we do have some control of. We have very little control over our property insurance and also with our automobile insurance. But the workers' compensation insurance program is something that we can put measures in place to try and decrease that. And you've seen that continued decrease year after year. Any questions?
Are there any questions from the board? Roberts?
I actually thought that your graph your baseline should have been the 1.0 instead of the lower than the 1.0, because your goal is the 1.0. It's not the.
Well, it is actually possible to get
Well,
below a 1.0.
Yes.
So that's
There
going to be the goal after reaching 1, right?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yes, Ms. Powers. But yes, for an organization our size with 2,500 plus employees, yes, the goal would always to be below 1. That is very difficult to reach for an organization our size. But yes, you could be correct in saying that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Mark Seacrest will come up. He's going to give you a brief overview on some advancements that Facilities has made to streamline the project management experience.
So good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, Superintendent Main. My name is Mark Seacrest, Director of Facilities and Planning. So as an overall statement with Facilities and Planning, when I came in, we were still running a department that was doing a lot of pencil work, pen work. We weren't actually automated with our filing systems. We did have filing systems because I have a lot of paper files in storage. And they take up a huge room that we have to keep for multiple years. So as part of that process and moving into facilities, being the background that I had, I was in constant digital filing of projects and POs and payment processes. So I had that file structure already in place in my mind. So I implemented a lot of that when I moved here in 2018. So that helped out a lot, just to give you that background, because recently going through 5 audits and trying to find all that material, if you do not have it in an organized system, it's very difficult to find. And it's easier to train people to file into a digital format and start out that way when they're hired versus trying to reverse learn them and start backwards. So it was difficult at first to get through that process of switching from I want to write my notes and I want to have a piece of paper, I want to scan it, to now where I will say as of today, I have all my staff using a project management software called Asana. And that basically gives me a real-time dashboard of where these projects are at. And then in a 2-week look ahead, I can tell if we're going to hit a target date or if something out of control, whether it be manufacturing or something outside of this district that's controlling the deadline. We can ease that information into the principals and into the site and make adjustments as we need to get the contractors in there. So we are, right now I can honestly say we have moved, and that's only happened since August. We've actually moved the whole department into Asana and into a project management style. And then I'm hoping by the end of the year, well, I shouldn't say I'm hoping, by the end of the year I will have real-time data of what that looks like. But I will say just in that small step of digital filing, you know, we were able to manage 5 major capital projects, which is kind of unheard of before in this district. You know, the 2 elementary schools, South Fork High School, Stewart Middle School. And what was really interesting is at the end of Stewart Middle, which is where we are now, we've actually moved that into Asana. So when we were finishing up the gym, that project actually got put into Asana, and we were able to do full-time updates and live information that I could provide to Dr. Miller and Superintendent Main as we were moving forward. Because it's difficult in my department, we don't run on a school year, we run on a construction schedule. And those schedules run anywhere from 24 months to 36 months. So a lot of things can happen in a 2-year, 3-year period that are unplanned, but that doesn't mean you can't manage them and basically move forward. So I'm excited to say, you know, we've made that huge step. And it's a learning curve because people are used to doing things one way, but in order to get our district going with the right goals and things, we just had to make some transitions. And I will say, in that process, we've actually gone outside the department now, and we've put up expectations and guardrails with our construction projects related to the contractors and the principals, and we try to make a standardized system of expectations. And when you do that, it actually helps monitor the cost of your projects. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to cost less. It does mean that people will get equity in products, and the learning environment will be the same across the district. And I will say our district has a fairly good standard of what that educational environment looks like. Because right now costs are, I don't know, they're crazy. They're going up every 30 days. And there's really no stop at this point. I think it's starting to level out. It's getting better than it was 2 years ago. But just to give you some general knowledge, the square foot cost doubled over the last 4 years. So when we originally were around $250 a square foot, the average cost now is $450 a square foot. Renovation costs used to be around $175. Renovation costs now are running $250 to $300. So it's a tough battle to manage that part of it because we have no control over what the manufacturers are going to do. But I am pleased to say, you know, we have evolving timelines with these projects, and we're able to manage them and actually communicate with. I try to get my team out to every team player, the principals, whoever's involved with these projects every week, so that they're boots on the ground. They're actually doing physical contact with these principals and site admin and letting them know where we are, so there isn't a huge void. Again, I went through some of these. I tried to brush through them in my mind without going through the slides, but basically we tried to develop a clear and repeatable process so that if you come in as a new employee, it's something that we can pass down. Because we are in the process of creating a facilities manual, which will give anybody that's coming into this department at whatever level you're at, guidelines on how the department runs and how it meets with the standardization and goals of the district. So what that has done, and I've seen it happen since August, a lot of our issues now that we deal with I deal with them on an hourly basis. We're trying to be proactive instead of reactive, because prior to this year, a lot of the issues that were coming up, I was having to be reactive because we just didn't have the real-time data and we didn't know it was coming. But with the data in place and the computer files in place and the program management, now I can actually see things that could possibly come up in the next 2 weeks. And one of my goals with the department is they need to look at the next 2 weeks and what that's going to look like, whether it's what we're constructing, what we're dealing with on site, what we're dealing with a principal, so that we can be reactive first instead of proactive later when you have to react within 10 minutes or an hour, and that becomes very difficult to monitor. I think that's it. I'll take questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Mark. I know that one of our most important jobs is being good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and I think creating a system like this really is more transparent. As we talk about all of across the board in this district, we've really had a goal of being more transparent, and this has really made that process. We spend a lot of money in your department. So thank you for that, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Okay, are there, oh, sorry.
I have one more, and we're going to speed through it, but it's an impactful financial impactor. And she talks quick, so I know Ms. Almestica Sanchez will make it short and sweet, and we appreciate you indulging us this evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, esteemed members of the board, Superintendent Main. My name is Wilma Almestica Sanchez, and I'm the Director of Exceptional Student Education. Today, I want to do a quick highlight on our Medicaid funding. Last year, we really started with the beginning of the initiative, and this year, we reinforced some of the areas that we have. But I just want to highlight and touch upon some of the risk and systematic issues that we saw that made us target Medicaid specifically. With the rise of ESC services and the costs for speech and language, occupational therapy, physical therapy, we really had to problem solve on how we could help the general fund have some additional reimbursement because the costs continue to increase just year by year, and we want to make sure that we continue to have the high quality services that we provide across the district. So we wanted to make sure that we were maximizing our billing potential with Medicaid, and when we did an analysis of it, we noticed that there were areas that we were underutilizing across Medicaid. So we also identified that we wanted to strengthen some of our forms and documentation because in our world in ESC, everything is audits and compliance. So we wanted to make sure that if we did get an audit from the state, that our forms were all compliant, not only for IEPs, but also for ACA under the state Medicaid platform. And all at the same time, we were utilizing a lot of paper-based billing, which slows down the process. So we did move into an electronic digital free platform that the Florida Department of Education had. But with that, we also had to provide additional training. I do want to thank the board. I'm not sure if you guys recall, but last school year you did allow us and did fund our Medicaid manager. It was a new position. She also oversees our ESC related services. She's here today, Jessica Carlucci. We're one of the only counties that has a Medicaid person that is an actual related service provider. And that was very important for us to make sure that whoever is really monitoring the everyday manual audits truly understands billing and what the therapy session notes should have across settings. So working with Jessica, we came up with a plan in terms of how we were going to train all related service providers on the new platform, and then for them to understand the monthly compliance audit checks that Jessica does do for all of our team members. This, again, required intentional targeted training for all of our staff and ensuring that they knew that we had fidelity and checking of monitoring of their plans. With that being said, Jessica does manually every month check the entire database. So before we submit a monthly batch, she ensures that all the codes, the therapy sessions, IEP, plans of cares all align, that we have parent consent to even report and actually bill for the student. And with that being said, you will see at the end the outcome of our number, but we were able to increase our funds available to provide back to the general fund. Just to give you some numbers, and this is available in the Florida Department of Education website, for the 21-22 school year, we approximately had $690,000 worth of reimbursement. 22-23 school year, we had about $500,000, and for 23-24, we had $744,000. From the spring, around April 2024 to December 2025, we were able to bring in $2,092,401 back into our general fund to strengthen our fiscal sustainability for ESC programming. And I just, again, want to thank you for supporting us, especially that first year to get us off the ground. But I did want to show you guys all the hard work that has gone in, and we're still looking for other areas to continue to build on. So we're expanding, and we started this year on transportation also, reimbursement. Any questions?
Thank you very much. I do remember when we approved this that we were going to recoup our dollars and the investment that we made, and it really shows. So thank you very much. And Jessica, you're doing an amazing job. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from the board on any of the other information-only reports? Any questions or comments? Okay, moving right along. We will take up our action items. Item number 18.01, school board travel. If there's anyone from the public who would like to speak on school board travel, this is an item that we are if you would like to. Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve 18.01?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Dr. Moriarty. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 18.02, Martin County High School Portable Project Review and Discussion. Mr. Sechrist?
So good afternoon. Mark Sechrist, Director of Facilities and Planning. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, and Superintendent Main. Do you have direct questions, or do you want me to give you a highlighted view?
Give us a high-level view, and then Ms. Roberts looks like she has a question.
Okay. I just wanted to guide
I was just going to say, your high-level view is that these are the portables that are at Martin County High School that are not being used, that need to be removed, and the financial piece to remove those portables is from the half-cent sales tax. Is that your high-level view?
Yes.
Okay, so I move approval of that. Thank you.
So maybe, let me give a little bit of clarification, because there's kind of three ways you can decide on this. And part of the reason why we're bringing it forward, because it was a project on the capital plan, and then when August started, the principal was asking us questions about the portables because they're basically underutilized. So then we started researching and realized there's 15 leased portables there that we're paying on a yearly PO. So part of your decision is to do nothing with them and they stay where they are. The second decision is to remove them. We remove the canopies. We can just fix the potholes in the asphalt. There's 90-some potholes. That's like a $25,000 to $30,000 fix. Or we reclaim that parking lot and renovate it, do a renovation to that park. So those are your decisions based on this summary I provided, but I appreciate it. Christy Lee.
And what is the superintendent's recommendation on this?
My recommendation would be to remove the portables so that we save that money and move forward with
And the parking
repairing
lot will come back.
Yes, correct.
Renovations
Yes,
to the
yes.
parking lot will come back?
Yep.
Okay. Was that your motion, Ms. Roberts? It was. Okay. Okay, I have a second by Ms. Pritchett for discussion. Dr. Moriarty?
So when was the last time the portables were used there?
So it was back at least 2 principals ago.
Okay, and is there any situation where they might be put into use again, or?
They've used them randomly for testing, but currently what they've done is moved all those functions into their current buildings.
Okay, and the cost for the repaving says $850,000 for that?
I ran that off of our current project, so that's just a budget number,
Okay,
so that we hit the ballpark. But that's based on basically our 4 or 5 projects that we've done and what that asphalt cost for those projects.
and how many parking spaces would that yield us there?
I could get you exact number. It's hard to tell because we have portables stacked on them right now, and we haven't seen that area since around 2010. So I don't know exactly how many spaces are there, but I can get you that number.
Okay, I mean, I guess we're not discussing that part of it, but I mean, that's definitely a big ticket item right there.
But it's a big area. I mean,
Yeah.
we're probably talking at least 20 to 30 parking spaces.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to requisitions to be approved for purchase orders over $100,000. Do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Roberts, a second by Dr. Moriarty. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 18.04, the Arts Foundation request to extend 30-day lease execution period. So, does anyone want to kick off the discussion, make a motion? We are specifically going to talk about first whether we're going to extend. So they requested to enter into negotiations, I believe it was December 30th. And so per our contract, per that agreement, they have 30 days to enter into a lease. If nothing happens, it goes away. If we want to extend it, we can vote on that now. And then depending on regardless of the direction, I do have some other questions that I want to pose to the board, but that is the question on this item. Ms. Roberts?
So maybe it's my memory, but I kind of remember that when we discussed this, there was the question that they may be interested in buying the property, or somebody, we're interested in selling the property, and that staff was going to update whatever the value was and do that. So how does that play into this? I thought that was the last direction, and I believe that was at a workshop, so that was just a consensus of, can somebody get the updated value of the property, et cetera, and can we go from there? But how does that play together?
We, meaning the school district, is in the process of getting appraisals on multiple parcels of land that are vacant or have something on them that is not being utilized by the district. So that is happening. And we identified several properties. This, the East Ocean, 500 East Ocean property being one. There's a piece of property in Booker Park in Indiantown. There was, I think, 4 that people were already interested in. Like we have been approached about them. So we targeted those first. And then they're also doing an inventory of all of our properties that we own that are not a school or a school site, to be looked at by the board. And that'll come back to us at a later date. So there is, and I think we're doing separately the Boys and Girls Club. So that will be its own appraisal. And then you have the other piece where our original building is on Ocean. So that'll be a separate evaluation. So there'll be 2 separate parcels being appraised. So we'll know, because I know the Boys and Girls Club had expressed an interest as well, because of the policy on alcohol, and they want to serve alcohol. So in order to do that, we're not going to own the property. So if the board decides we want to sell it, that is an option. But
So to not confuse things, I think that the issue with the Boys and Girls Club is that the Boys and Girls Club, we're doing their drainage. That their drainage is on school district, the drainage for that building is on school district property. So just as an aside, if that's one, I mean, I don't know what this list of properties is. This is the first I've heard of a list, so. But just on that one piece of property, there is an issue that the drainage on that property is on our property. It's all our property, but it's not the part they have the land lease on.
Right.
They have a land lease, Mark, maybe you can remember. They have a land lease on a piece of property, but their land lease property does not include where the drainage is for that building that they have. That drainage still exists on our property. So that if we sold the property, we would be selling it and selling something that they don't have the drainage rights to.
Correct.
Correct?
So what South Florida required was, since we own the whole property, their drainage requirements and our drainage requirements are one.
Right.
Correct. Okay.
But
Just
that's
as an aside, for when we talk about that at some point in the future, I think that's something that needs to be addressed with that piece of property.
Well, and it will be the whole property. It'll be, because we are considered, that property is Boys and Girls Club, the old Stewart High School, and Stewart Middle School. So they're all sharing that drainage
Correct.
and meeting those requirements. So that can be, that's something a really good real estate attorney I know can, this happens all the time. So I'm not concerned that it's going to be a big issue. But if it is, then we'll find out about it if we make those properties available for sale.
Okay. So my question goes back to if we have given direction to staff to update the appraisals to perhaps entertain an offer to sell the 500 East Ocean piece, how does that relate to extending the lease?
So, I
Intent
mean,
to lease.
Tyson can probably come up and talk about, we have an existing agreement with the Arts Council that says that they can initiate the lease, and we have 30 days per the contract to enter into a lease or not. And so that's the piece. We're within that 30 days right now. It expires probably, I don't know what the 30-day mark is, if it's January 30th or,
3 days left. We have 3 days left, I think.
So Tyson Waters, their intent to lease required that they notify you by December 31st of 2025 if they intended to proceed with the lease. So they did that on December 30th to essentially preserve that right. So over the next 30 days, there was a task to negotiate a lease and sign it within that 30-day period, failing which it would either party could terminate or just kind of bleed over until someone took action, or this board could agree with the Arts Foundation to extend that term for some period of time. We received a draft lease. Over the past few years, we've been going back and forth with the Arts Foundation to kind of work on a framework of a lease. Over the past, I guess, right around December 30th, we received kind of a formal draft lease that took some of the guidance from this board in that workshop, and what was added was a clause to allow the Arts Foundation two things. One, an option to purchase, and then another one, a right of first refusal. The option to purchase contemplated the idea that in the event that the Arts Foundation wanted to purchase the property, and actually for this one, the option contemplated that it allowed the Arts Foundation the right that if they wanted to buy the property during the lease term, they could do so, and there was, built into that would be a process to determine the valuation through appraisals and things like that. They also asked for a right of first refusal so that if the school board ever decided, whether now or in the future, that you wanted to sell the property, then the Arts Foundation would have the first right to elect to purchase it. Those are some of the things that we'd have to negotiate over whatever period of time that the school boards, that you're inclined to extend this negotiation period. There's a few provisions within the lease that we'd like to clean up, as well as a discussion about this option to purchase and then a right of first refusal. And if you're okay with either or both, and if so, then what those terms would be to set the parameters of what it would look like. But there's certainly, the Arts Foundation discussions with them were the ones that proposed a 30-day window just to allow more time to discuss and try and come to terms with this lease. I think the Arts Foundation representatives are here today. I think given the board's policy, I think they're more inclined to look towards a purchase as opposed to a lease to ensure that they have the option to have the sale of alcohol.
got it. What's the pleasure of the board?
So if we approve the 30-day extension, then you will continue to negotiate with the Arts Council with whatever direction we give you as far as what we are looking for in the lease. You will then be asking us, what do you want to do about a first right of refusal? What do you think of paragraph 14? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. So there's some high-level points that I think we look for direction. If you're inclined to extend it 30 days or however long you want to, some direction about, yes, we're interested or willing to consider this, but not this. There's some other revisions and cleanup that I've made in the lease itself. We did eliminate all references to the ability to have alcohol sales or use alcohol on the property. So the big point is this right of first refusal, which may have some complications because of some state statutes about you putting out the property to bid or things like that versus a simple option to purchase. So this would end up being a lease with an option to purchase. And so it would be those parameters within that option to purchase of, yes, we're okay with it, subject to these terms, and then that's what we would do over the next 30 days to try and come up with some sort of understanding and agreement.
So is your intent then, if you're granted a 30-day extension, that you will be coming to the February board meeting with some type of chart to discuss, not to make a decision on anything, but to get direction from us as to what do you think of paragraph 12? And then you would be able to go from there? Is that the intent then?
So I certainly could do that. I think we'd have to look to see the timing of the board meetings to make sure that I could come back here with a summary chart to show you some of the provisions like that, a summary, and then you could give me very specific direction at that time, and we'd still have enough time to then finalize negotiations of the lease, so I could come back here for you to approve that, the actual final lease. So it might actually take longer than 30 days, again, just based on your board meeting dates.
Well, I'd like to discuss it at the February workshop, because I just think that, but I do think we need to have some basic discussion tonight and give direction tonight. If we're going to grant an extension, what are the expectations? I have concerns about the option to purchase in a 50-year lease.
Correct.
So that's, I have some.
Correct, and I think, and from my perspective, I think that if we did a lease with an option to purchase, the option to purchase would be for a much shorter period. It wouldn't be the whole term of the lease, would be the way I would look at it, is that yes, because the piece that we're looking at now, if you're getting valuations and you're trying to sell something, we obviously can't get to the sales point in the next 30 days.
Right.
Or even in the next 90 days. But we may be able to get to it within a year. We may be able to get appraisals done, et cetera, and come to an agreement on how to sell it within a year. So I would look at an option to purchase to be for a much shorter period of time, just to get us to that. So we're not saying you can lease it for 50 years and sometime in the next 50 years, you can walk up and say you want to buy it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean, but my other concern is the Arts Foundation's ability to maintain our asset for an extended period of time. Because there is a cost associated with that. So I would have to feel really, that is a concern of mine, and so I would want to feel very comfortable with that. That it was, if we're going to extend it for that amount of time.
So a couple of I think the big points for this board to consider, one goes all the way back to the intent to lease, that I think the intention and hope was to do a 50-year lease with 1 or 2 20-year extensions, but that was contingent upon what their capital improvements were. So if they, and that threshold was never determined, so if they invest a lot of capital, the more capital improvements they invest in, the longer the term. So I think they're part of the discussion that we'll need to have at your workshop. I think it would be beneficial if the Arts Foundation participate in that, to talk about what that chart would be as, okay, if your capital improvements go from 10 million to 15 million, here's the term. 15 to 20, here's the term. Over 20, here's the term. A similar thing with rent, but perhaps not as important. And then with that, Ms. Roberts, exactly what you said, what that option to purchase would be, because I think for the Arts Foundation, it's important to them because they believe that the ability to serve and sell alcohol is a key component to kind of their overall picture, that they want to make sure before they invest a lot of money in those capital improvements, that they know what the ability is to potentially purchase the property if they so choose. So those are the things that we'll have to flesh out to make sure that everybody's comfortable both with the term and then that commitment to, to purchase the property if they want to. Because I think from the school board's perspective, once the capital improvements are in, you kind of have already improved your asset. And yes, depending on who the end user is, there's the valuation there. But that financial commitment will go a long way to restore some of this property and still give you a little bit of protection.
Right, but we have also been doing this now since 2022.
2022, yes.
And even before that, and we are still maintaining the property ourselves as the district.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's costs that are associated with that as well. So knowing that there is, I want to see timelines for things getting accomplished, which should have originally been in the option, because we talked a lot about fundraising goals, and somehow that it never materialized. So it was, and we've been holding this property since 2022 already,
And they,
tied up.
and there are some of those thresholds. You're absolutely correct regarding the time period. There is built, once they sign this lease, there is a clock for them to to commence work, and then complete what we've called phase one, and then there's phase two. But both of those have deadlines as to when they have to can start construction and when they have to finish construction and be open to the public.
And I'm willing to do a 30-day extension, maybe even a 60-day extension, just to get the timing correct. So knowing that you're going to bring it back to us at the February workshop with some chart of what the components of the lease are.
Yes.
You're knowing the history of how we've discussed it before. So having that piece that we're going to be able to give you direction. We wouldn't be able to vote on anything, but we can give you direction for negotiation purposes. If it comes back that you're still in negotiations, you can report back to us at the February meeting. It would give you a chance in March, and then maybe get us to the point where maybe it's at the March meeting. That puts us where we're 60 days in from where we are now. Like if we say absolutely not, we're not going to do this, we're walking away, they're walking away, there's some community interest, I believe, in trying to make this work. And rather than walking away and then trying to rebuild a horse of well, now let's start from ground zero and say that you can buy it if you want to. I think giving 60 days in order to do that is something that gets us to an end point. And if at the end of 60 days, it's something that's unamenable to the Arts Council and we can't come to an agreement, well, then we can figure out what we're going to do there. And if we want to, by that point in time, hopefully, we would have appraisals, et cetera, and be able to figure out where we're going to go with that.
And we can do this too, to make sure that things don't linger too long, is to really comprise that option so that there are certain very finite deadlines to make that option, so they commit, so it's not lingering on and on and on, waiting for something to happen for a few more years when everything then turns black. So I think we certainly can build in some parameters and guidance to make sure that everybody's monitoring things and decisions are made quicker than they maybe have been in the past.
Right, and the hope would be that we would actually have a lease by the end of March. And whether that's a lease with an option to purchase in it, but we would have something, or we wouldn't have something. We either have
Right.
something we all agree on, or we have nothing, and we know we're all going to walk away from it.
Exactly, a lease with very specific deadlines.
Yes.
So we know when things are going to happen. So again, if things are going to change, they're going to change sooner
In
than
this,
later.
yes.
And standards for maintaining our asset
Yes, yes, ma'am.
prior, Ms. Pritchett?
Dr. Miller, do you have an idea of when you will get an evaluation of that property?
Yes, ma'am, we expect it within the next 20 days.
And once we have that evaluation, we then say, are you interested in purchasing? With like the finite things that you're talking about. Start out with a lease, and it has to be purchased within a certain time, not years and years.
Right.
So I think the key component is getting the price.
Yes.
And deciding whether or not the Arts Council is interested in the purchase. And they will tell us yes or no, and then we can proceed. I think that helps us
Yes.
move things along. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it gives us a starting point for with the appraisal. But if they decide we give them too much time, then we have to have it appraised again because values change. And I don't know how we get around
Well, once that it's appraised and we bring the value to the Arts Council, I think we're going to know whether or not they are willing to invest. And if they are, it has to be within X amount of time. It isn't extended. It's within however we decide.
Yeah.
But once we know yes or no, then it is the public's wish to purchase if someone else is interested. So I think it's fair to give them the opportunity to say, we are interested in buying the property.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that has to be within, it has to be reasonable because land changes very quickly.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. And I think with this current appraisal, what it'll do, it'll allow the Arts Foundation to decide whether or not we're even in the ballpark. And then we set the parameters, and I would imagine, just because of timing, that you're still gonna, when they actually exercise their option, you'd probably do a new appraisal to make sure the valuation is true to that time. But this current appraisal will certainly give everybody an idea of here's what the amount is. Is it even worth continuing that discussion?
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, I think it's pretty reasonable to extend 30 days. I would prefer 30 over 60, Mrs. Roberts, just because I think that's exactly what they asked for. And I think we're in 20 days, we're going to have an appraisal. So I would favor that because we'd have a lot more information at that point. And then if we want to extend again in February, we can certainly have that discussion. But I would be in favor of extending 30 days.
One thing that I would like to know is how much we have spent maintaining the building since 2022. So within our decision-making, I feel like we need to know what that cost us because that's kind of, I mean, that's a deciding factor.
I have a motion. Ms.
I had
Roberts?
one more comment. If we have an appraised value, I guess I'm asking this to you, Mr. George. If we have an appraised value, can we sole source sell something without asking if anybody else wants to buy it?
No.
So, which means the only way we really could do that, to sell to them, is with a lease with an option in it. If we gave a lease with an option in it, they would be able, we would know that it's going, that the Arts Council has the right to buy it. But if we pick a number, the appraised number out of the air, we can't walk, as a public entity, we can't walk to the Arts Council and say, here's the appraised value, do you want to buy it for that? Is that correct?
That's correct.
But we can put in the lease, so if there, or into the lease agreement, that if whatever point in time, within a finite amount of time, that they have to exercise the option to purchase, that we would get updated and current evaluations, and we would.
Correct, I just didn't want
Yeah,
the
so what it
impression
is in
that-
20 days might not be what it is in 1 year. So we would update those, and that would be the price that they would pay.
Right, I just didn't want to get the impression that we get an appraisal, we show you the appraisal, and you say, yeah, we're signing off on that, because there is that in-between step, unless we went through a lease with an option to purchase.
Madam Chair, at the point of a sale, it takes multiple appraisals.
Yes. And Dr. Miller, are you getting one appraisal updated, or are you getting three?
At this point, we're getting one on each of 4 properties, and then at the pleasure of the board, we can seek additional. This will at least give you an idea of what the appraised value is of these properties.
Because I think right now, we're just trying to get an idea of what the valuation is. And then depending on that, if we enter into this lease, then it becomes appropriate whenever an option's actually exercised to get that appraisal, because this appraiser by that point most likely is going to be stale anyways.
And if I remember correctly, the last time we got 3 appraisals, they were all over the place.
They were.
They were. So one appraisal really doesn't
I think
do
it
us a whole
was.
lot of good. They were all over the place.
Again, I think with this one, it just gives you an idea of.
It gives us an idea.
It's an approximation of value.
It could be higher, it could be lower,
Exactly.
it could be, who knows?
But it'll just lead us into whether or not discussion's worthwhile based on, that valuation.
Dr. Moriarty?
Madam Chair, I would move to request a 30-day extension for the lease execution period for the Arts Foundation.
I have a motion by Dr. Moriarty, a second by Ms. Pritchett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All righty. All right, moving on to first review of school board policies, and this is to approve the advertising. Are there any questions from the board on any of the items from 19.01 to 19.18? Just for the public, this is just to approve the advertising. These will come back again to the board for a public hearing. Do we want to take these all at once, or do you have some questions?
I move approval of 1901 through 1918 with the 1903 update, and knowing that we just need the public comment.
Second.
Wait, we don't need public comment on this one, only the public hearing, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay, so I have a motion by Ms. Roberts and a second by Dr. Moriarty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on, items 20.01 through 20.15. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to make a public comment on any of the policies listed in this item? Seeing none, can we take these all at once, or do we need to take them one by one?
You
just have to read
legally
them
can
into the
take them all at once if you've already given it to the public without comment, or you can, if any individual board member wants an item individually discussed, that's also what you can do.
I can read them off and then we can take them as one. So item 20.01, policy 0131, legislative policy making. 20.02, policies 1139 and 3139, educator misconduct. 20.03, policies 1210, 3210, and 4210, standards of ethical conduct. 20.04, policies 1242, 3242, professional learning. 20.05, policy 2260, non-discrimination and access to equal educational opportunity. 20.06 is policy 2417, comprehensive health education. 20.07, policy 2431, interscholastic athletics. 20.08, policy 4162, drug and alcohol testing of CDL license holders and other employees who perform safety-sensitive functions. 20.09, policy 4242, staff development. Item 20.10, policy 7240, site acquisitions. Item 20.11, policy 8600, transportation. 20.12, policy 8600.04, bus operator qualifications, certifications, discipline, and termination. Item 20.13, policy 8602, bus capacity, that is being rescinded. Item 20.14, policy 8615, hazardous walking conditions, that is being rescinded. And item 20.15, policy 8641, bus idling, and that is being rescinded. Do I have a motion to approve these items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Pritchett, a second by Dr. Moriarty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Open to the board. Ms. Pritchett, do you have anything? I do. Dr. Moriarty?
Derek, we wish you the best. Thank you for your service. Congratulations, Kirsty.
Yay. Ms. Roberts?
Yes, I went to the book bonanza at Pinewood Elementary, and thank you to the Education Foundation. It's a wonderful event. If you have students, I believe, at Port Salerno or at J.D. Parker, it's this Thursday and it's the following Thursday, and it's well worth it. If you're one of the first 200 people who signs up, you get the free meal. And there's all kinds of prizes and all kinds of games and fun and everything, all centered around literacy. But the place was packed and it was really good. Congratulations to the Pathfinder nominees. And if you didn't see the governor's press release or press conference today about arsenic in candy, you should go back and watch it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Russell? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to congratulate Nicole Helvey, who was approved at tonight's board meeting to take over for Miss Diane Falls when she does retire at the end of June. So I believe your first day will be tomorrow in shadowing, although she's already been spending some time with Diane and doing an excellent job. Nicole has a master's degree in health services, was most recently worked for the Florida Agency of Healthcare Administration, or what we call ACA, as an executive sponsor and implementation lead. And prior to that, she was bureau chief from 2015 to 2022 for the Florida Center for Health Information and Transparency. So we know you will do a great job. You are very well-versed and familiar with this type of environment. So welcome aboard and congratulations.
Okay, yay. I just want to say congratulations to our VPK teachers and those classrooms, and also to all of our VPK and other early learning providers in Martin County. We were in top 4 in the state in kindergarten readiness. That is really a reflection of what happens before kids get to kindergarten and the hard work that everyone is doing. But it's also a huge commitment from the Children's Services Council, the United Way of Martin County, the Community Foundation of Martin and Palm Beach, who have really invested a lot of resources in our community in that space, and it is paying dividends. So congratulations to everyone involved in that. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.